Well, hey parents, I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. This is Paul Cunningham, the student pastor at the Madison campus. Just wanted to make you guys a quick video to make an announcement that we had made this past weekend, but I know that some of you couldn't be there because of scheduling conflicts, and I just want to make sure we're all on the same page heading into a pretty significant shift that's coming up over the coming months. I just want you to know that we've really, over the past 6 months to a year, have been just evaluating our student ministry and asking the question of, are our current processes, our current systems, our current programs, really what we do as a student ministry, are they the best possible things that we can be doing? And I just want to let you know on the front end that, man, there's a lot of fantastic things that are going on in our student ministry. And really, it's a great student ministry. We've seen over half the people that got baptized last year at Pinelake were students. Here at our Madison campus, we've been growing like crazy over the last couple of months, and we're expecting that to continue as we head into the fall. At the same time, as we were really looking and evaluating, especially we were asking the question of, concerning some of our ideals and our values of, we value family, we value worship, we value service. Do our current systems and processes really enable our students to embrace and live out those values? And specifically, ones that we focused on were worship. Are our students able to go into worship on a Sunday morning with their families, or just in general to worship the God who is the only one worthy of being worshipped? And then number two, service. We asked that our students, or our current processes, enable our students to serve. And that may seem like a small one, but that's actually a huge one. There is a scary statistic out there that says that 70% of students who grew up in church and had faith in God abandon their faith once they get to college. 70% are no longer really engaging in their faith or engaging in the local church. That is a horrifying statistic, and it's really an unacceptable one. We can't have that anymore. And so one of the things, though, that they found as they were studying that statistic, Baylor University did a study, and they found that the students who were more likely to have their faith survive in college and into their 20s were really ones who, number one, had a great relationship with adults, multiple adults, including their parents and including small group leaders and people like that. But then the second thing was they served. It wasn't did they have a Sunday school program, it wasn't did they have a Wednesday or a Sunday night or some other kind of deal, it was were they serving. And so that was really a significant thing for us to really ask was, are our students serving? If that's one of the biggest things that really sets a student up for success, we should make sure they have avenues to do that here in the church. And so as we were evaluating, as we were looking at this, we really said that, our ideals are great, our values are great. We say that we value worship, we say that we value family, we say that we value service. But when we were looking at our programs weren't in sync with our values, and they really didn't support what we wanted them to support. And so, for example, right now it's entirely possible for someone to be born, go through as an infant, and then eventually graduate to high school without ever having worshiped with their family. It's entirely possible right now because over half of our students in our middle school ministry come from middle school, but then they leave and they never go into worship whatsoever. It's also entirely possible for our students to once go from infancy to graduation without having ever served. Many of our students don't serve at all. And the thing is we can't really be mad at them because once again, our systems and our programs make that happen, where if a student goes to middle school, but then they actually do go to worship, when are they going to serve? And so what we found is that while we say that we value those things, our programs really aren't such that they're supporting those things. And so we just have made the decision. This is really the big shift that we've been waiting to announce to you guys. It's going to take place for us in August as a Madison campus. We are going to shift our Sunday morning middle school time to Wednesday night. The big reasons, let's just go in order. First off, just philosophically, and then second off, practically. Philosophically, and we can really hit those two things that I hit on just a minute ago. This is going to allow students to worship who are not currently now worshiping. They're not going to have anything else to take that time. Instead, they're going to be able to go in and worship with their family. And I think we just need to step back for a second and just ask the question, do we really want a student ministry that would not allow our students to worship or to serve? And I think the answer we could all say is of course not. So we got to just make some changes. So for once again, this is going to allow them to worship with you and just to worship in the room in general. Number two, it's going to allow them to have time to serve. The big thing that we ask all of our adults is to worship an hour, to serve an hour, and then for 1 hour during the week to get into a group. And we just decided, you know what? we need to ask our students the same things that we ask our adults. We really believe that they will raise up to the bar that we set, and so if we set it low, they're going to hit it low. But if we set it high, where we want our adults to be, we believe that they're going to raise up to hit those expectations. And so we're expecting our students to worship for an hour, to serve for an hour, and then to be in an age-relevant environment, which is going to be our Wednesday night worship service for students here at the campus. And so that's more of the philosophical reason. And then practically, it's a couple things. Number one, here at the Madison campus, we believe that the primary destination for our students needs to be the theater. On Sunday mornings, it's used for children, and so there's really no possible way we can do that for our students, except to move it to a Wednesday night. So that's one practical reason. Another one involves more of the students who aren't here yet. We really think that a Wednesday night is a more strategic time to invite someone to church rather than a Sunday morning. I mean, just imagine if you're a middle school student, or if you're me and you go to them sometime during the week and say, hey, you want to come to church with me? They're like, when? And they're like, oh, Sunday morning at 9:30. And that's a harder time to commit to than to go to them on Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday morning and say, hey, would you like to come to church with me tonight? And we just think it's a much better time to invite students in, and to invite students in who don't know the gospel and who need to hear it. So for the philosophical reasons, for the practical reasons, we're going to make this shift. It's going to be effective in August. The main reason for that is because we're simply not going to be having renewal here during this summer. We shut down our renewals during the summer pretty much at all of our locations, and we're not going to be doing it regularly here at the Madison campus until August. And so that's when the switch will happen. And then so, just a few big questions that we know must be running through your heads that I just wanted to go ahead and address right now. And then at the end of this video, seriously, email me, text me, send me any message you have, any questions you have. The great thing is we have 4 months to make this shift, so it's not like we're doing this next week. You have plenty of times to ask questions, to address concerns. One common question that we expected to get from people, both people that are here and people that will be visiting, is pretty much so what you're saying is, there's nothing now for my student on Sunday morning. In a sense, yes, if you mean an organized event or activity for them, specifically for them. We're taking that away and moving it to Wednesday night. But in another sense, yes. In the same way, if an adult came and asked, what do you have for me to do here on a Sunday morning, we would say, man, we have a time for you to worship your God in a place where it's going to be there's going to be an amazing sermon, amazing music, and it's a place where we can give glory to God. And then number two, man, we would love for you to start serving. We're going to ask the same thing of our students. So in another sense, there's plenty for them to do on a Sunday morning. And we know this is a big shift. We know this will be a big change. A lot of you guys are used to Sunday school. If you're like me growing up, that's what I went to. But we just really feel like, once again, if we're going to have a place where students can serve, where students can worship, that this is the best chance for that to happen. And so while it might not be traditional, we feel like it's really the best road forward to accomplish and to really do what we say we value. So that's one big question we anticipated. Another one would be from some parents who might say, well, right now kind of what our morning schedule looks like is they go to middle school, I go to worship, and then we go home afterwards. What really is there going to be for me to do for that hour while they're serving? And the biggest thing we tell you is this, if you've been here for a season and you've been kind of checking out Pinelake and trying to see if this is the place for you, and you decided to call this home, the biggest thing I'd encourage for you to do is serve. There's really, I think one of the best things you could do would be to serve alongside your student, but maybe you or they want some separation. So here's what I tell you, man, find an hour to worship together, either 9:30 or 11, worship together at the same time, and then at that other time, whatever time it is, serve, either in different places or at the same place. We think that'd be a great thing for you. Another question we anticipate is, where will students serve? Well, my thought was, in parking and on security. Okay, obviously I'm joking with that. That actually is pretty much the two places, really the only two places where I'd say middle school students won't be, is parking, just because we don't want them to die, or us, or our visitors, and then security, just because a sixth grader isn't that intimidating. So, but really anywhere else in terms of children, preschool, guest services, we want our students there. Let me tell you just a quick story. At a church that I used to be at in the past, we had a person called a switcher who controlled what every single campus saw at the same time, and we're talking about 11, 12,000 people in a weekend. And so this person had a lot of responsibility, a lot of pressure on them, a lot of pressure basically to control what thousands of people were seeing at the same time. And the person who was the volunteer that sat next to me while I was doing stuff on staff, he was 14. And so we just really do believe that students are going to raise up to the bar that we set for them. As I told our group this past weekend, most scholars believe that Jesus' disciples were teenagers. Teenagers. The average disciple followed a rabbi starting about age 12 or 13. And so if Jesus could expect a lot of his disciples, I think we could expect a lot of our students. In fact, I think one of the biggest problems with this generation is we're under-challenging them. I feel like they want to be challenged. So let's set the bar high and let's see them raise up to meet it. Now, obviously, we're going to pair them with adults who are going to lead them, who are going to train them and supervise them. We're not just going to throw them out to the wolves and say, now go serve. We're really going to walk them through this process. And over the next few months, I'm going to do some things to kind of help them transition into that serving capacity. Those are some of the biggest questions we really anticipated. Another one, just to kind of make you guys feel at ease, a few people have asked, have you guys really researched this? And let me just say yes. We really have looked at this hard. Almost every church that's our size or growing at our speed have gotten rid of their Sunday morning programs. Once again, we know this is a big shift, and I want to be very understanding of you and where you're coming from, where this will probably be a big change for most of us and where we're coming from, but we feel like it's the best thing we can do, because once again, if we're going to say that we value worship and family and service, we've got to make sure that students have the chance to worship. We want to make sure that if we say that we value family, we're not always separating you. We want to make sure they have a chance to serve. And we just feel like this is also going to be the best thing for our student ministry to grow, both in terms of depth and in terms of numbers over the long term. So it's exciting for us. I hope that excites you. Listen, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me. We've got 4 months. Let's talk via email. Let's talk via phone. Let's talk if you even want to go grab dinner and voice any concerns, or even say, hey, this is awesome. How can I be involved? We're going to give you more information over the next 4 months. Once again, it's going to start in August. And I just want to ask you, please be in prayer as we make this transition. Please be in prayer continually for our students. This is going to be a big shift, but we believe it's the best one. We believe it's the one that God is leading us to do this. And so thank you so much for continuing to trust us as we partner with you in raising your students up to be great men and women of God. Know that I'm praying for you, and if you ever need me, just let me know. Talk to you guys soon.